So thank you for introduction. My name is Toshifumi Yokota, and I was just promoted to full professor this summer. So we are very excited. Thank you. And we are working on exon skipping and genome editing therapies. And actually, both of our these projects were funded by Jess's journey, and we are very thankful and grateful. And the funding is very important, critical to advance our research. So my laboratory is on the 8th floor in Medical Sciences building in Edmonton, and I'm also a research chair of the Friends of Garrett Cumming and Muscular Dystrophy Canada. So Garrett Cumming is a local boy with Duchenne, and his family and supporters raised funding about 10 years ago to start a new research laboratory in Edmonton. And then I was recruited to Edmonton. So we started muscular dystrophy research laboratory about 8 years ago in Edmonton. So our main research focuses on exon skipping and genome editing therapies. Okay, so today I will talk about exon skipping and genome editing therapies. So in this presentation, you will learn the basic mechanisms and the differences of exon skipping and genome editing. And exon skipping is already in clinical stage, and genome editing is quite early stage, but it's very promising therapeutics in the future. And also, I will update current status and future perspectives of these therapies. So, I will quickly repeat the introduction of the DMD. So DMD is X-linked recessive disease, and it's very prevalent genetic disease. And about 1/3 of DMD patients have no family history, so anyone can suddenly have DMD patients in our families. So they will begin proximal muscle weakness around age 2 to 4, and they have elevated serum creatine kinase levels. So this is basically a kind of biomarker in DMD. They have lots of enzyme. They should be in muscle fibers. They are released to the bloodstream, so they have elevated levels of creatine kinase in serum. So this is a very important biomarker. And around age of 10, most of children are in wheelchair bound. Okay, so DMD muscles, in histological perspective, they have quite different muscle histology compared to normal muscles. They have a lot of infiltration and degenerating muscle fibers, and infiltration of fibrosis fibers and fat infiltrations. So in 1987, Dr. Eric Porkman, he was my postdoc mentor actually in Washington, D.C. His group discovered dystrophin. So dystrophin basically localized that membrane of muscle fibers and support muscle fibers. So this slide explains the role of dystrophin in muscles. So it turned out dystrophin support muscle membrane like beams in a building. So the top picture here is Hikone Castle. It's a very beautiful castle in Japan. Have anyone been Hikone Castle? No? Actually, I've never been there. But it's very beautiful, one of the oldest existing castle in Japan. So if you look at inside of the castle, many beams support the roof. So if there's no beam, the roof can easily collapse. So that's what happened in muscle fiber in DMD patients. So dystrophin basically have role like beam, and it supports the muscle membrane here. Okay, so it's quite interesting. There are two diseases caused by dystrophin deficiency or dystrophin mutation. One is called DMD, and another one is called Becker muscular dystrophy. The Becker muscular dystrophy is often much less severe. So many of them still they can walk in their 50s, 60s. Some of them can even walk in their 70s. And it turned out that translational reading frame or messenger RNA is maintained. It means in-frame mutation. I will talk about more in the next slide. So at least 10% of normal levels of dystrophin is produced in Becker muscular dystrophy. So it's partially functional, and it can compensate the function of the dystrophin. So protein synthesis, this is quite bit more technical slide, but in DNA, there are many parts in the DNA. It's called exons. So they are quite small part of the DNA actually, and most parts are called introns. These are these green parts. So basically, exon carries information to produce proteins. So after transcription, there's a transcript product called messenger RNA. So this is messenger, basically carries the information to produce protein. They are spliced, so they can only exon parts are spliced together to form mature messenger RNA. And this part is exported from nucleus and translated into protein. Okay. So if you look at more closer, so these blue boxes are basically exons, and these white lines are introns. So each exon, there are different number of letters are coded. Okay, so in this world, always 3 letters mean one word. So 3 letters always mean one word. So that means here, the resulting product is the mat and bat cat ate the jam. So this is resulting product. And if you have out of frame mutation, for example, if you have deletion of this exon, it has 4 letters. Okay, 4 letters, so it's out of frame mutation. You can't divide by 3. So in this case, you have the mat at it doesn't make sense. So this is a result. If you have deletion of this exon, it has 6 letters. So it's in frame. You can divide by 3. So the resulting product is the mat and bat cat jam. So this might mean this. So in frame mutation still makes sense and much better than out of frame mutations. Okay, so our goal is to switch from out of frame to in frame mutations. Okay, so in the DMD gene, it's a bit more complicated. DMD gene is one of the largest human genes. It has 79 exons. And important thing is here is shape of each exon means the phase of each exon. So some exons end with the first base pair of the codon. And some exons end with the second base pair of the codon. And some exons have ended with the third base pair in the codon. So that means if you have, for example, exon 45 deletion, this is a bad mutation. It will likely lead to severe Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy because exon 45 and 46 they don't fit together. The shape is different. So in this picture, this means out of frame mutation. So it's bad mutation. Okay. But if you have exon 45 to 46 deletion, this is good mutation. It doesn't disrupt the reading frame, so it likely leads to Becker muscular dystrophy. So exon 44 and 47, they fit together. So this is a good mutation. So if we can switch from out of frame to in frame, we can potentially improve the phenotype symptoms. Okay, so the goal of exon skipping therapy is to switch from DMD to PMD using DNA-like molecules called antisense oligonucleotides. So there are many different types of antisense chemistries, and one of our favorite oligos Sarepta is also using is called phosphorodiamidate morpholino oligomers, PPMOs. It's also called morpholinos. It has quite different structure. DNA and RNA has sugar, 5-membered ring here, but morpholinos don't have 5-membered ring. So structure is quite different structure. And it doesn't have phosphorodiester bond here. And DNA and RNA are negatively charged here, but morpholinos have phosphorodiamidate bond. So nitrogen, instead of oxygen, morpholinos have nitrogen. So they have no charge. So this is quite a unique feature in morpholinos. So they are less toxic, and we can add cell-penetrating peptide to morpholinos. So this is a very important feature in morpholinos. Okay, so morpholinos have several good features. So one is low toxicity. This is very important. So morpholinos don't activate toll-like receptors. So that doesn't mean it doesn't lead to immune response compared to other chemistries. So morpholinos are very, very safe. So that's why it's very much faster than other antisense oligos to be approved. And morpholinos also have high specificity and good water solubility, so very good chemistry. So messenger RNA splicing is it's quite a complicated process. It's simplified slide, but it's actually not. It's quite complicated. Many proteins and RNAs are involved. So basically, we can target several sites in exons or introns sometimes. So we can use antisense oligonucleotides to target exons. And it's called exonic splice enhancer site in exons. So we can block the interaction between messenger RNA and spliceosome. These complexes are called spliceosome, and that leads to skipping of certain exons. Okay, so exon 51 skipping, it's approved, conditionally approved in the US in 2016. To target exon 51, they designed antisense oligos against exon 51 here, so it can produce truncated dystrophin. So in DMD patient, for example, if you have exon 49 to 50 deletion, it's out of frame. Exon 48 and 51, they don't fit together. But after exon skipping, exon 48 and 52, they fit together. So it leads to shortened but functional dystrophic proteins. Okay, so this is our video. Can you click the here to start the video? Okay, wonderful, thank you. So this is one paper published about 10 years ago. We worked in, this is work done in Japan with dog model of DMD. So left side is non-treated dystrophic dog. He is a 7-month-old dog. So this is one of DMD model. He has a severe atrophy in face muscle, and he has contracture of legs. So he can't walk very fast. He can walk very slowly. And he has massive degeneration in diaphragm as well. So it affects the stamina of the dog. So he's completely exhausted after walking 15 meters. Okay, so right is another dog. We injected morpholinos. Could you start this? Okay, perfect. So these dogs are same ligamate. So usually they have similar symptoms, but he can run much faster than non-treated dogs. And his stamina is much improved. So he can easily run 15 meters and he's still happy. So this is quite great result. Yeah, so he's very happy. And he has 2 tails, so that means he's very happy. Okay, so currently several companies are working on clinical trials targeting different exons in DMD. So Sarepta is the biggest player here. So exon 51 skipping is approved. It's called eteplirsen. It's quite controversial, but approved conditionally in the US. And Deletions, Casimilsen are still in clinical trials, and PPMO, it's peptide conjugated morpholinos. Its clinical trials have just started, and a couple more companies starting clinical trials. Eteplirsen, this is Nippon Shinyaku or NS Pharma. I think Calgary has started clinical trial with Eteplirsen as well. So this is another quite hopeful antisense oligos. And also, Wave Life Science, they use stereo pure antisense oligo. This is new chemistry, and they started exon skipping. It's called Deletions, targeting exon 51. So several companies are now starting clinical trial, and this field is expanding. So this is clinical trial results. This is a bit old data presented several years ago in World Muscle Society meeting. So in this study, they compared two groups. One is treated group, and another one is it's delayed treatment group. So they initially started with placebo, but at some point they started trial, so injections. So they have significant difference. This is quite small study, only 6 patients are involved, but still there are differences. And this is quite promising result. However, actually, eteplirsen didn't improve the function. They only slow the progress of the disease. Okay, so we hope to further enhance and advance the efficacy of exon skipping, and hopefully we can also decrease the toxicity. So we are working on several projects. One is sequence optimization. So this is turned out to be very important for exon skipping. So we are currently working with machine learning computer scientists in Edmonton to develop new design tool to design new antisense oligos. Okay, and we particularly focused on exon 51 skipping here. And so we developed a new computer software, okay, and this software can predict the efficacy of exon skipping. So in exon 51, for example, there are 233 base pairs, 233 letters here, okay. So antisense oligos are basically 25 man or 30 man usually. Okay, so you can target anywhere in the exon, but the efficacy vary dramatically. So this is very important. Our computer program can predict where is the best target in an exon. So here, the computer program led to very interesting results, because this computer predicts very high efficacy at the 5' end of the exon, this exon 51, and predicted very low efficacy in middle of the exon. The eteplirsen is here. And so we tested antisense oligo sequences in exon 51. So the result is quite striking. It's a bit provocative in front of the therapeutics representative. But we identified new antisense oligo sequence. It's called A2 and A6. They worked 10 times better in terms of the dystrophin restoration compared to eteplirsen. So this is quite striking. And so, yeah, so hopefully we can move forward with improved sequence of antisense oligos, and it can, the exon skipping have much room to improve in terms of the antisense oligo sequence. So that is my take-home message. So we are also trying to increase the applicability of exon skipping, and particularly we are interested in exon 45 to 55 skipping, and because patients have different mutations, each patient has different mutations in different locations. So eventually we have to use multi-exon skipping to rescue most of DMD patients. And if we can skip multiple exons, eventually we can rescue 80 to 90% of DMD patients. And in particular, we are interested in exon 45 to 55 skipping. This alone can rescue about 47% of DMD patients. And we started this project from the observation in BMD patients. And our big question is if all in-frame deletions are equal. So in-frame deletions are certainly better than out-of-frame mutations. But we found that not all in-frame deletions are equally good. Some in-frame deletions are, strikingly very good, almost the same as full-length dystrophin. But some in-frame deletions, they are only so-so. They are only slightly better than out-of-frame mutations. So we used patient database. This is most of them come from Leiden database from Netherlands, but we also used Canadian registry as well. So we are very thankful for the effort by Canadian registry and Dr. Jima and Lawrence and patients participated. So it turned out in-frame deletions lead to BMD in 92% of cases, and in-frame deletions, BMD in 78%, and 90% of in-frame deletions lead to BMD. So about 80 to 90% of BMD is associated with in-frame. So in-frame is better than out-of-frame, definitely. But if you look at specific types of exon deletions, for example, if deletions start or end with exon 45, so they are all in-frame deletions, and so 91% of them are Becker muscular dystrophy. So this is very good, but some of them are not that good. We don't have many data. Some of them are only have 5 or 6 patients, but some of in-frame deletions are not that good compared to others. And we found out that exon 45 to 55 deletions. So this is very big deletion. They have 11 exon deletions. So it doesn't sound great, but it turned out they have strikingly good phenotype. So symptoms. Some of them have almost no symptoms at all. So this is quite striking result. And part of the reason is this is just speculation, but if you have exon 45 to 55 deletion, that means you have deletion from spectrin repeat. So this is particular protein structure here. So there are 24 repeat sequence of the protein here, and part of them are removed, and you will end up with hybrid broad repeat number 17 and 22. Okay, so this makes perfect hybrid, and also hinge 3 is also removed. Hinge domain is supposed to give flexibility to protein, and this part is also removed. So the repeat sequence, rod domain spectrin repeat between 2 hinge domains, the number of hinge rod repeat is 16, and this is exactly the same as normal dystrophin protein. So it partially restores a full-length dystrophin product. So this likely main reason that this particular deletion results in very mild symptoms. Okay, so we recently developed cocktail antisense oligo strategy. So we use cocktail of antisense oligos targeting each exon, and we tested in several patient cell lines. So some patients have, for example, exon 45 to 52 deletions. So in that case, we can use cocktail targeting exon 53, 54, and 55. So some patients have deletion of exon 48 to 50. So in this case, we can use cocktail from exon 45 to 47 and 51 to 55. Okay. And if you have deletion of exon 52, we can use cocktail from exon 45 to 51 and 53 to 55. So it's patient customized cocktail antisense oligo. So and the product is always the same, exon 45 to 55 deletion. So this is very functional dystrophin protein. So that's a big difference from single exon skipping. So we can, this is a mouse study. We can restore exon 45 to 55 product, in-frame product in body-wide skeletal muscles and in the heart as well. And we can restore dystrophin expression. We can see by immunostaining. And we can detect dystrophin expression in body-wide skeletal muscles. So this is a very exciting result. Okay, so we are also working on the peptide conjugated antisense oligos to deliver the treatment to the heart. So one of the biggest problems in the heart, in the exon skipping, is morpholinos don't lead the exon skipping in the heart, almost no effect in the heart. So we collaborated with Sarepta Therapeutics. We received peptides, cell-penetrating peptides from Sarepta Therapeutics several years back. So antisense oligos are conjugated, so connected together with peptide here. So this can enhance the cell penetration to the heart muscle. So the result is very exciting. We can see dystrophin expression throughout the heart muscle, and they have less degeneration. So in DMD dog muscle, they have lots of degenerated. You can see lots of holes in the muscle. That's called vacuole degeneration in the heart. And after the treatment, we can see this vacuole degeneration. And also, ECG is improved. So in dystrophic dogs, they have deep Q waves here. And this is resulted from dystrophic heart muscle. And after the treatment, these Q waves become smaller. So that means heart function is improved. So this is a very exciting result. And we published this a couple of years ago in PNAS. Okay, so I switched the gear and we'll talk a little bit about genome editing. So we also recently started genome editing project with the support from Jesse's Journey. And so basically what genome editing, what CRISPR can do is they can cut the DNA and edit as you like. So this is an exciting new approach. And we can use genome editing, CRISPR, to remove certain places, or we can change the code, or we can remove, or we can skip some exons for DMD. So this is a very exciting new approach. And this slide summarizes main difference between antisense oligos and genome editing. So basically, antisense oligos target RNA, so this is messenger between DNA and proteins. But genome editing targets DNA. So this is a big difference between exon skipping and genome editing. And we can use tools like DNA-like molecules for oligonucleotides. But for genome editing, we use CRISPR-Cas9. So this is basically bacteria-derived proteins. And effect is transient, so that means only 1 week or 2 weeks. Antisense oligos can work couple of months, but basically patients have to be injected like every week or every 2 weeks. So there are pros and cons. You can stop anytime if something bad happens, but basically you have to keep injections. But genome editing, the effect is permanent. So once DNA is edited, the effect lasts forever. And antisense oligos require no carrier, basically. So it's much safer. Genome editing, they still require virus vectors like adeno-associated virus, and that leads to immune response very often. So that's the main hurdle of the genome editing therapy. And antisense oligos are very relatively safe, so it's approved by the FDA faster. Genome editing is still in preclinical stage. Several groups at least are working on animal models in Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. And adverse effects, so many adverse effects of antisense oligos, they often sometimes lead to kidney toxicity like proteinuria. Antisense oligos tend to accumulate in kidney, so some patients have proteinuria, but they're usually not that serious and likely safer than CRISPR. So in terms of genome editing, many people are concerned about off-target effect. So if genome-editing occurs on intended sites that might lead to cancer development or serious adverse effect. So that's the main concern in genome editing. So this is one study recently done by Texas group, Dr. Eric Olson's lab. So they use dog model of dystrophin, and so DMD, and they have a dog model with deletion mutation in exon, the mutation in exon 50, and they use genome editing to, so it's a bit small, but exon skipping or reframe the sequence to restore the dystrophin expression. So it's working quite well. And we also use dog model, but our dog model has mutation in exon, it's actually splice site in intron 6. So it's within the N-terminal mutation hotspot. So Texas group use dog model in C-terminal hotspot, but we use dog model with N-terminal hotspot. So the site of the mutation is different. And we can use CRISPR-Cas9 to cut out intron 5 and intron 8. So just like exon skipping, this can restore the reading frame. So exon 6 and 8, they don't fit together, but if we remove exon 6 to 8, the reading frame is restored. Okay. So we did some cell studies and in vivo studies in live animals. So we can restore the reading frame after the treatment with CRISPR. So this is very exciting. And also we injected CRISPR-Cas9 targeting intron 5 and intron 8, and we can restore the dystrophin expression in the dog live animal as well. So we have quite preliminary results so far, but it's working quite well, and we are very excited. Okay, so this is summary. So exon skipping Antisense oligos are already approved by FDA in the United States conditionally for exon 51 skipping. And several companies are working on other exons, and we are working on multi-exon skipping and with improved sequences and chemistries. So hopefully this field is expanding quite rapidly. And also genome editing is under preclinical development, and there are concerns about off-target effects, but this is a very promising emerging therapies, and hopefully this can move forward quickly. So this is final slide. This is our current lab members, and the funding from Justice Journey plays very important roles here. So we are very grateful to Justice Journey. And we have collaborators in Japan working on dog model, and Sarepta Therapeutics provided peptide conjugated morpholinos. And Dr. Daddy in the University of Ulster, he's a computer scientist working on the design tool of Antisense oligos. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.